Hello and welcome. You tune into Your Trades with me, Ankita Saxena, and with me, Shreyansi Singh. And this is the show where we take you through the roundup of how the markets shaped up today. Well, it was a day, a rather muted day coming in, Shreyansi, after the carnage and bloodbath that we saw on the D Street yesterday. So, a rather muted day coming in today. At least look at the Nifty. The Nifty was absolutely flat. In fact, it ended at the lowest point of the day. We slipped below 22,550 levels. 22,526 is where we ended the day on the Nifty. Nifty Bank also ditto. It was absolutely flat. Ended the day on the day's lowest point. 48,585 is where we ended on Nifty Bank. Very flat on Nifty Bank as well. As far as Nifty, as far as Sensex is concerned, though we snapped the 5-day losing streak, Sensex ended the day in the green, up 0.2% or gained 147 points on the Sensex. India VIX had cooled off. It ended with cuts of 5.04%. So India VIX has cooled down. Sensex gained after losing for 5 days, but Nifty and Nifty Bank were absolutely flat. The broader markets, however, were underperforming the benchmark indices. Mid caps traded with cuts of 0.6%, and small caps was also down 0.4%. So the broader markets were underperforming, and the underperformance also came from the metal pack. Metal pack was the biggest loser in trade today with cuts of 1.4%. Names like JSW Steel, Hindalco, Hindustan Zinc, Vedanta, they all ended with cuts of 2% or thereabouts, 2.5%. Also, Nifty Realty was another losing candidate with cuts of 1.3%. Oprah Realty, DLF, Godrej Properties, they all ended with cuts of more than 2%. On the gaining side, we had the Nifty Media, that was the top sectoral gainer. Nifty Auto was also in the fast lane. And remember, yesterday also Nifty Auto was in the green, was holding the fort with Nifty FMCG, and both the counters continued with that momentum and ended the day in the green. Nifty FMCG, in fact, names like Colgate-Palmolive was doing very well in today's trading session, was up almost 2%. Nestle also was really holding the fort at the back of the price hike news that came in. That was really buoying the sentiment for Nestle India. That ended the day up 1.3%. So largely a muted day of trade coming in, Shreyansi.
Well, absolutely a muted day of trade coming in, but it was a select few pockets that were buzzing away in trade, were in focus as well. Of course, you did have IT as a pocket that was also important to take a look at. But other than that, of course, you did have some of those pharma names that were down and out in trade, the likes of Sun Pharma as well as Dr. Reddy's, down anywhere between 2 to 3.5% thereabout. And some of those consumption stocks as well, the likes of Britannia, Trent as well, that were also a little bit downtrodden at this point. When you take a look at HCL Tech as well, of course, their outlook was in focus. That stock, however, was a tad bit lower, so 0.5% uptick there, downtick rather coming in for HCL Tech. But it was the management commentary that is actually very important to watch out for, because the management is expecting double-digit industry growth, and that is the exclusive commentary that we've gotten from them. That is also important to watch out for in terms of how that really pans out for HCL Tech. But other than that, of course, a couple of pockets that were very important to watch out for, or rather news flow that's important. The government is inviting bids for PSU stake sales. So on the back of that, some of those PSU counters were in focus. And other than that, there's the SEBI paper that is aiming for fewer stocks in the F&O ban. That is going to be helping to reduce risks when it comes to this particular paper. So that is also something that we're going to be watching out for in terms of new developments. But that being said, let's also try and get a sense of the market roundup that we have, or rather the outlook coming in for the markets. Let's get Amar Singh, who's the Senior Vice President Research at Angel One, on board. Amar Singh, thank you so much for joining us and taking time out. The first question that I wanted to ask you is, of course, on the Nifty, what do you see shaping up in terms of the week going forward? Truncated week, of course, but what is your outlook then?
Yeah, very good afternoon, and thank you for having me on the show. See, we've been bearish on Nifty for quite some time, because looking at the fundamentals perspective as well as from a technical perspective, what we're seeing is that higher levels are being sold into, and Nifty isn't unable to, or has been unable to breach the 23,700, 800 level, and then it started witnessing sell-off from those levels. Because if we go back slightly and we look at the levels which were in the first week of February, so Nifty witnessed sell-off there around 23,700, 800 levels, and it has earlier was finding strong support around the 22,700, 800 zone, but that also has been taken out. And it continues to close below that level, inching towards a 22,500 zone, which again is important support. So it effectively means is that there could be more selling pressure uh, going forward. But yes, 22,500 should act as some support. We can expect a pullback, but whether that pullback is going to stay, we'll have to wait and watch. On the upside, Nifty is going to meet with resistance somewhere around the 22,800, 23,000 levels. So, and looking at the charts from an intermediate term perspective, they continue to be extremely bearish. So that having said that, it means that high levels will be sold into, and it's a sell on rallies market, and currently the bears are having an upper hand.
All right, Amar, so those are the levels to watch out for on the Nifty, and now 22,800 becoming the level of resistance, because that was earlier the support, which has been now broken down from. But moving on, tell us, Amar, what are the values of a pocket that you're seeing? Any stock where you have your buy call?
Yeah, so there are two stocks which can be looked at from a buying perspective. The first one is from the pharma space, and that is Laurus Labs. We've seen the stock correct from almost 600, 650 levels to as low as 500, and then it has bounced back over the last couple of days. It has taken strong support around the 520 odd levels. So this is one stock one can keep a close watch on, buying at the current levels with an upside target of 593 and a stop loss of 521. And the second stock to look at is Titan. This is one stock which has corrected recently, and over the last few weeks, there have been sharp sell-off from almost 3650 levels to currently trade around the 30. So if I look at the stock, the trend from a short-term perspective continues to remain down, but what we are seeing is that the stock has reached oversold territory. It is around crucial support zone. So there is a possibility of a pullback from the current level. So Titan is one stock one can look at the buying at the current level with the stop loss of 3129 and a target of 3315 on the upside.
Thanks, Amar, for taking time out and joining us, telling us your outlook for the market as well as the picks that you have for our viewers. Thank you so much. But on that note, let's also move on. But before we do that, of course, it's Titan that is sparkling, according to Amar, that is likely to sparkle rather. So let's also keep it going with the sparkle then. And precious metals is something that we should be talking about. Jim Rogers, who's the author of Street Smart's Adventures on the Road and in the Markets, owns silver, but he's not in favor of adding positions to gold as it is already quite expensive. So on that note, let's go across and listen into what exactly he had to say about that particular space.
I will not add to my gold. Silver is down, gold is up, so I will buy more silver. I do like commodities. Agriculture is better because agriculture is still a little bit depressed. Silver is down almost 50% from its all-time high. Gold is making all-time highs. Both are precious metals and have been for centuries. Gold is expensive. Silver is cheap, I think, I hope.
All right, that's the word coming in from Jim Rogers. But let's move on and focus on what the derivatives diaries has to say. It's a truncated week of trade, and we have the February expiry that's also there in this week. Apart from the weekly expiry, we have the monthly expiry also on the 27th of Feb, which is Thursday. Let's see what are the trades that are building up as far as Nifty is concerned. I see a mild long unwinding that's happening, and on the Bank Nifty, long unwinding that's taking shape. Active calls on the 27th of February expiry, we have 22,600 levels. That's where the call writing is happening. The second level to watch out for is the 22,700 level, which automatically makes 22,700 as the resistance for Nifty. Now, looking at the put calls, active put calls are taking place at 22,500 and 22,400. So that's where the put writing is happening with no support level here. So that's how the derivative diary looks as of 27th of February expiry, and these are the levels that you need to watch out for, with 22,700 being the resistance level for Nifty.
Well, all right, then it is a truncated week indeed. So some respite, and let's hope that there's some respite also in store for the markets. But moving on then to the big story of the day, Tata Capital, part of the Tata Group, is planning to go for an initial public offering that will include a mix of new shares and an offer of sale by some existing shareholders. In fact, Tata Investment has surged on the back of this particular news. And we do have Gaurav who's standing by with the key takeaways. Gaurav.
Well, yes, Tata Group of companies once again making a headline, and the reason being that Tata Capital is coming up with their IPO. They have approved the IPO, including the sale of around 23 crore shares via new issue, and they have also approved the offering of up to 1500 crores worth of shares via right issue. Let's not forget that news articles earlier speculated that the entire IPO size could be somewhere around 15,000 crore rupees. Now let's talk about the company. Tata Capital is a subsidiary of Tata Sons, and it is an NBFC which provides a range of services including the distribution of Tata cards. It currently have around 5.2 million customers and across 900 branches. When we look at listing in September 2022, regulators actually classified Tata Capital as upper layer systematically important NBFC, and that is the reason they required Tata Capital to get listed in the next 3 years, which comes to around September 2025, and that is the reason why the speculation is rising once again, and now the board have also approved the IPO. Now when we look at financials, we already know that loan book currently stands at around 1.8 lakh crore rupees, and at the same time when we look at gross NPAs, it is also at a healthy level of around 1.5% for the company. Company reported profits of around 1900 crore rupees in first half of FY25, and lastly when we look at ROAs, it reported around 2.25% of ROAs and 16.5% of ROAs. So again, a very good performance set by the company. When we look at shareholding pattern, Tata Sons currently holds around 92%, while Tata Group of companies currently holds around 2.5% stake. Let's also not forget that company regularly have access on needed based capital support from Tata Sons, because in the last 6 years itself, company has received around 6,000 crore rupees from Tata Sons, including 2,000 crore rupees that they have received in FY24 itself. Let's also not forget that on the back of this news, Tata Investments is also in focus today, because Tata Capital is around 4.7% of the overall investments of Tata Investment, and that is the reason why this stock is also up in trade today. So on the back of the news of the recent IPO, we will be definitely watching out on what happens in the Tata Group of companies in coming days.
Waiting and watching out for the Tata Group of companies. This is the biggest IPO coming out from the Tata Group, and on the back of that, Tata Investment was also up in a way 7% in trade today. But with that, it's curtains done on this edition of Your Trades. Shansi and I will take a leave. Thank you so much for tuning in.